Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's debate on the critical topic, should teenage drug possession be decriminalized? My name is Manju Chandra, and I'm honored to serve as your moderator for this event. We are privileged to have Mr. Kapil Puni as our judge tonight. Mr. Kapil is a seasoned professional with over 20 years of experience in the financial industry. He is currently the business head of emerging markets at Tata Capital Housing Finance Limited. His expertise in various streams makes him an excellent choice to evaluate our debate tonight. Tonight, we have two teams, the affirmative team, Team Invincibles, which consists of Ayurda, Sneha, and Drishna. And we have the negative team, Team Mavericks, consisting of Gatik, Saindeep, and Sanvi. So let's lay down some rules. Tonight's debate will follow Lincoln Douglas format. And here is the structure we are going to follow. Opening statements will be provided by affirmative team Invincibles. And in Team Invincibles, you will have 8 minutes. The cross-examination by negative team will be for 4 minutes. Then opening statements by Team Mavericks, the negative team, will again be 8 minutes, followed by the cross-examination by affirmative team, 4 minutes. First rebuttal by affirmative team will be 4 minutes, followed by the rebuttal of negative team 4 minutes, and the final rebuttal by affirmative team again 4 minutes. After that, we'll be looking for judges' question and feedback, and finally the judges' decision. Now let's begin the opening statements with the Team Invincibles, the affirmative team, who will be speaking in favor of the motion. The teenage drug possession should be decriminalized. Ayurda, Sneha, and Drishna, you have 8 minutes. Please begin.
Good evening, esteemed judges, respected opponents, and wonderful audience members. Today, I, Ayurda Verma, from Team Invincibles, we support the motion that teenage drug possession should be decriminalized. For the purpose of this debate, by teenagers, we mean the age group from 13 to 17. Our stance prioritizes the health and future opportunities of teenagers over punitive measures. Millions of minors sell drugs, consume drugs, and suffer from addiction. Some are forced into it by parents or family members, while others do it to have some kind of income. Yet, what do? We do not help these children overcome their addiction. We don't provide them with a safer home. We don't aid them in finding a new source of income. Instead, we rob them of their future by throwing them into juvenile detention, jail, and prison. These places are unlikely to prepare these children for life when or if they are released into the world. They will not have the opportunity to graduate high school or college. They will probably not have a welcoming family or a warm home to arrive at. They've missed out on time to gain job experience. They went to jail, and that is something they will have to carry with them for the rest of their life. This will affect their ability to get a job. And when they can't get hired, where do they turn? Back to selling drugs. Consider the heartbreaking story of Jordan Witzel, a high school student in the United States who was arrested at 17 for possessing a small amount of marijuana. Despite being an honor student with no prior criminal record, the arrest led to severe consequences. Jordan faced social stigma, academic setbacks, and long-term employment challenges due to his criminal record. His chances of getting into college were hindered, and he struggled to find employment. Jordan's case illustrates how a minor drug offense can ruin a teenager's life. Decriminalizing drug possession would encourage more teenagers to seek help without the fear of legal repercussions, leading to healthier outcomes. This approach treats drug addiction as a medical issue rather than a criminal one, allowing for better intervention and support. In Portugal, where drug decriminalization was implemented in 2001, drug-related deaths decreased by over 80%, showcasing the effectiveness of harm reduction over punitive measures. As per American Addiction Center Substance Abuse and Addiction Costs, American society upwards of $600 billion every year in healthcare expenses, criminal justice, and legal costs. Redirecting even a fraction of these funds towards reforming kids and providing better opportunities could significantly improve their futures and societal outcomes. Criminalization creates a stigma that discourages teenagers from seeking help. In Switzerland, decriminalization led to an increased access to treatment programs and reduced the stigma surrounding drug use, encouraging more individuals to seek help. We aren't solving the problem by criminalizing drug use. We are just using it to mask the real problem, which is the combination of inadequate support systems, insufficient mental health services, and lack of educational and employment opportunities, and the societal stigma that prevents them from reintegrating successfully. Without addressing these underlying issues, we will continue to fail our youth and perpetuate the cycle of drug use and confinement. Decriminalizing drug possession and focusing on rehabilitation and support can break the cycle of despair, improve public health outcomes, and foster a more just and humane society. Thank you.
Good evening, esteemed judges, respected opponents, and audience. Today, I will demonstrate how criminalizing teenage drug possession devastates their future opportunities, imposes significant economic burdens, and perpetuates systemic injustices, all while failing to address the root causes of drug use. Criminal records have a long lasting impact on teenagers' futures and their families, mainly in education and in employment. Teenagers with criminal records face rejection from colleges, severely limiting their opportunities. Employment is also affected. According to the National Institute of Justice, youth with criminal records are 13% less likely to graduate from school, 22% less likely to attend college, and 50% less likely to get a job offer from employees who do background checks. Prosecuting and incarcerating teenagers for drug possession involves significant cost savings, including legal fees, court fees, incarceration. Jurisdictions that have decriminalized drug possession have seen significant cost savings. For example, California saved 100 million US dollars annually. Reallocating resources towards prevention and treatment can ensure long term economic benefits for the country, with a return of $4 to $7 for every $1 which is spent on treatment. And this approach reduces the financial burden on the justice system and fosters healthier communities. Current drug laws also disproportionately affect marginalized communities, like minority teens face higher arrest charges and imprisonment rates. For example, Black and Hispanic teenagers are 4 times more likely than white teenagers to be arrested for the same offense. Decriminalization can lead to fewer arrests and better social outcomes for all minority teens, including those in poverty as well, promoting equality and reducing systemic inequalities. Decriminalizing teenage drug possession can significantly improve future opportunities for our youth, reduce the economic burdens, and promote social equality and justice. Studies from the RAND Corporation also show that those who receive treatment for drug use are less likely to reoffend compared to those who are jailed, and more likely to give a positive contribution to the society. So, therefore, by adopting a more compassionate and health focused approach, we can build a healthier and fairer society. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. I, Drishana Ravichandran, am here to conclude our team's arguments in favor of decriminalizing drug possession in teenagers. We believe that prioritizing the health and future opportunities of teenagers is essential for a just society. One prevalent concern is the fear of increased drug use among teenagers. While this concern is valid, research and studies consistently show that decriminalization does not lead to higher usage rates. For example, a study by the Cato Institute on Portugal's drug decriminalization found reductions in overall drug usage and better health outcomes among teenagers. In addition, a study published in the International Journal of Drug Policy found no significant increase in drug usage after decriminalization of drug possession in teenagers. Another concern is that decriminalization undermines law enforcement efforts and the rule of law. However, if we shift our focus from punishment to intervention, we can move towards prevention and rehabilitation. This approach fosters a more compassionate culture and reduces the burden on our criminal justice system. Decriminalization is not about turning a blind eye, but it is about embracing a responsible approach. If we start to treat drug use as a health issue rather than a criminal offense, we can provide teenagers the support and care they need. This approach encourages them to seek help without the fear of legal repercussions, and it reduces the risky behavior among teenagers. And when we talk about the human rights, decriminalization can improve human health by ensuring equitable access to health services and treatment, as supported by the findings from the World Health Organization. As Ayurda highlighted, evidence from the Portugal shows significant health benefits from decriminalization. Sneha emphasized the economic savings and social equity that resulted from focusing on rehabilitation rather than punishment. According to Drug Policy Alliance, jurisdictions that have decriminalized drug possession have seen significant cost savings which can be reinvested into prevention and treatment programs. To conclude, decriminalizing teenage drug possession allows us to focus on health and support rather than punishment. This is not about accepting drugs in our society, but about ensuring our youth's wellness. By supporting decriminalization, we are investing in the well-being of our youth and creating a supportive and more supportive community to everyone. And decriminalization fosters a positive impact on our society. We urge you to support this approach not as an endorsement of drug use, but as a commitment to health, future, and human rights of our youth. Thank you.
Team Mavericks, you might want to do cross-examination now. Your time starts now.
I would like to ask Ayurda. She mentioned that criminalization creates stigma on teenagers. So don't you think that being in possession of drugs and using in a wrong way do not create stigma on them, while punishing them for a valid reason creates stigma? Can you explain this?
Okay. First of all, teenagers wouldn't have the knowledge about drug possession. So there could be various reasons why they could start using drugs. They could start possessing drugs. So maybe without having the proper knowledge could not create them in stigma around drug possession. So when decriminalization happens, there could be an interchange of focus to rehabilitation and intervention. So they can start understanding the in values of possessing and consuming drugs, and this will lead them to have and correct knowledge about what actually is drug possession, and they would learn the lessons and not do drug possession once again.
And
Can I also-
I would like to add one more point, that teenagers are not matured to understand the consequences of their actions, and that is why education is important.
Then why the teenagers who age 18 and more will be punished, but not the teenagers who are below 18? Do you think it's valid for 18 and 19 years old teens also?
I think a 13-year-old has all of the worldly knowledge. What if, first of all, who gave them the drugs? Where is the source of the drugs? That should be seen upon. And also, it overlooks factors like mental health issues and depression, trauma, abuse. They could be forced to do it, but they have no other choice. These are all the factors which criminalization does not look upon. So that is how.
One more thing. I remember Sneha, I think, had said that Black and Hispanic teenagers are arrested more for the use of drugs compared to white teenagers. But how can you prove that Black and Hispanic teenagers don't actually use more drugs and they're just facing the consequences to their actions?
There was an evidence where there was one Black person who possessed the same amount of marijuana compared to the white person as well. But then that person was arrested compared to the white person because they were also in poverty as well. And the white teen was also very well off.
Time is up. Team Mavericks, you may begin now.
Good evening, esteemed judges, respected opponents, and all the audience members present here today. I, Karthik Jaiswal, stand before you to argue against the decriminalization of teenage drug possession. I want to begin by sharing you with the stories of David Manlove, Emily Brewer, and Michael Mangerson. These individuals were once bright and promising teenagers whose lives took a devastating turn to their involvement with drugs. David, a UK teenager, started with occasional marijuana use that quickly escalated. His academic achievements crumbled, his health deteriorated, and he faced legal consequences that haunted him for the rest of his life. The stigma and the lost opportunities isolated him, straining his relationships and dimming his future prospects. Emily, dreaming of becoming a veteran, experimented with synthetic marijuana. This decision left her paralyzed, her dreams shattered by a substance that she thought was harmless. Michael, a talented football player, fell into the heroin, which led to painkiller addiction after a sports injury. His physical and mental health deteriorated, leading to the lost opportunities and shattered future. These stories illustrate the grave consequences of teenage drug possession. They highlight how youthful experimentation can spiral into academic decline, health risk, legal troubles, social stigma, lost opportunities, and strained relationships. By maintaining the criminalization of teenage drug possession, we send a clear message of deterrence. We protect our youth from the devastating impacts of substance abuse and ensure that our legal system can intervene and rehabilitate our youth who needs help. In conclusion, the stories of David, Emily, and Michael are cautionary tales that underscore the importance of responsible decision making and the dangers of drug experimentation at a young age. Let us uphold our laws to safeguard our youth and foster a society where potential can flourish without the sword shadow of substance use.
So good evening to esteemed judges and my GFT members. Today I say Adib Sharma from Team Mavericks, continuing our argument against the decriminalization of teenage drug possessions. I will discuss the various ways teens might use drugs and its impact on society and why drugs are harmful to teens. So, teenagers might use drugs for various reasons such as socializing, peer pressure, curiosity, or to escape from mental or physical pain. A study by Karmsade Ali under the control of Kerala government on 652 high school students found that 25% of boys and 12.4% of girls were offered alcohol and they were socializing with unsavory friends, and it was considered as a major reason for drug use. This demonstrates how teens are exposed to and tempted by drugs in their social environment. Additionally, the China and India Foundation 2010 found that peer pressure, which is 62.1%, and experimentation, which is 36.3%, and boosting self-confidence, which is 28.7%, were common reasons for substance abuse among teenagers. So, drug use among teens has significant negative impacts on both individuals as well as in society. The 1996-97 Pride study found a strong association between adolescent drug use and involvement in delinquent activities. Substance abuse among teens can lead to increased crime rates as well as social and economic costs related to healthcare and legal system. The National Survey on Drug Use and Health (NSDUH) data from 2008 shows that 14.2% of individuals aged 12 and older used illicit drugs in the past year, with marijuana being the most commonly used illicit drug. These figures highlight the widespread use of drugs among teenagers, and which can lead to their behavioral problems, leading to academic decline and increased truancy. Drugs have severe effects on teenagers' mental as well as on physical health. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics 1992, substance abusing youth are at higher risk for mental health issues like depression, suicidal thoughts, and personality disorders. Marijuana use prevalent among teens interferes with drug abuse can lead to accidents, disabilities, and even deaths through overdose or risky behaviors. The NSDUH data also shows that psychopathetics ranked second in drug use, indicating a worrying trend of non-medical use among teens. These patterns are concerning and underscore the importance of maintaining strict legal measures. So, in conclusion, the evidence clearly shows that teenage drug use has devastating effects on both individual and society. These facts underscore the necessity of maintaining strict legal consequences to deter drug use and protect our youth. Our choose on.
Teens, often defined as young adolescents between the ages of 13 and 17, are in many cases protected by state and national law. Tell me then, why should teen drug possession be decriminalized when teens can easily go to jail for murder? Teens are not children anymore. The brain is said to be the sharpest in late teens, meaning that teenagers are fully conscious and aware of their actions. As my teammates have previously talked about the demerits of drugs, I would like to add the various ways teens can harm society without actual consumption. Consumption of drugs, also although in the hands of teens, is most likely, is not necessary. Possession can lead to various results, such as distribution. As if a teenager having drugs wasn't bad enough, a teen selling drugs is much worse, and if caught in India, an adult at least can be sentenced for up to 7 years in prison. If it is decriminalized, what is to ensure that teens won't garner possession and distribute drugs again? Recently in Pune, not too far from my house, a teenager, Vedant Agarwal, slammed his Porsche into a bike, killing two young engineers while he was under the influence of alcohol and heavy narcotics. Teenagers are not just a danger to themselves and their futures when they use drugs, they are a danger to all the innocents around them. In countries like Canada and the USA, teenagers are given majority of the rights over their own healthcare and education. If teens are responsible enough to ascertain their independent rights, they should be held liable and be equally punished for the crimes they commit. Almost everyone in this meeting is a teenager. I bid any of you to tell me that you are not aware of your actions, that you are not aware when you hurt someone, or that you are not fully conscious. If all of us have enough awareness of our surroundings, teens possessing drugs do too. By decriminalizing drugs, we are not only letting the guilty walk free, we are destroying our youth. We are letting the next generation harm themselves and others. Drugs should be illegal, and those possessing drugs should be similarly punished if we have any hope of protecting our future generations. Thank you.
Cross-examination by affirmation team starts now.
Deep, I have this question for Saideep. You listed all problems caused by drug abuse. Do you think criminalization can solve the problem and there will be no cases of drug abuse by teens? Or if you use education, support, and parental involvement, that will help more?
Yeah, I definitely think that there should be criminalization of teens drug abuse. Uh, because many researches have shown that teens have drug use illegally for to know the experiment, for to do experiments, or to they have the curiosity to know that what will actually happen to them. So if there were limitations on the teens that they were that they will stay away from the drug use, it can lead to the betterment of the society. But decriminalization gives a chance to teens that they can use the drugs. Actually, they can misuse the drugs again and will affect their health.
I'd like to add that, like Ayodha said, just criminalizing drugs won't entirely stop teens possessing drugs, but it plays a huge factor as it shows that it shows teens that they have consequences to their actions. Yes, parental support is helpful, but in many foreign countries, teenagers simply don't respect their parents. And some parents, they don't care if the teens are doing drugs or not. So that alone cannot help a teenager. But if a teenager realizes, oh, wait, I can go to jail for using drugs, they realize there are consequences to actions that's likely to evoke fear in a teenager and to stop them from using drugs.
Now, Gatik and Sanvi gave few examples, and all those examples were relating to consumption and not possession, right? So here, consumption and possession is not relatable. So, isn't it far from our topic?
I had stated in my content that while consumption is not always not necessary when a teen possesses drugs, it is the most likely.
More likely, but both are not same, right? And in Gatik's examples, all were relating to consumption, and that's the reason they had health issues and they faced few negative consequences, right?
Then let me ask you this: what does a teen do with drugs then, if not distribute or consume them? Do they just keep it in their closets to look at?
But at last, both are not same.
That is why there is education, so that they don't recommit the same thing. And yes, they will face legal consequences, yes. It's not to say that they won't be held accountable, but criminalization, like putting them in jail, imprisoning them, is serious because they will meet so many more heinous murderers and rapers, and they will face physical abuse, mental abuse in the jails. It is a very terrible environment.
So do you
So,
suggest we just slap them on the wrist and let them go? We're
yeah,
not
so
talking about
therefore,
slapping them on the wrist and just letting them go. If if they are caught in possession with a drug, we're saying to re-educate them, to make them understand the consequences of what they're doing. It's bad.
Time for cross-examination is up. I'm so sorry, no more questions. Now, affirmative team, your rebuttal starts.
okay. So Gatik mentioned health deterioration by using drugs. And yes, thanks for agreeing with us. And yes, that is the reason why there is rehabilitation services so that teenagers can actually get education on drug consequences. And it could be due to lack of education. And that is the reason why there are rehabilitation services again. And yes, they should face legal consequences. They should be held accountable, but the cost should not be imprisonment, which will ruin their whole future. What if the teenager could have just been rehabilitated and been solved, been recovered, rather than making them more dreaded criminals by putting them in prisons? And decriminalization does not normalize drug use, but it acknowledges the harm in drugs, yes, and educates the population as it focuses on it as a health issue, because it is. And it keeps people more informed about drugs rather than just saying not to do drugs, because that is very unrealistic. And it removes the stigma which is attached to it, and many more people can go ahead, say their problems, whereas this couldn't have been possible with criminalization, where people would be hesitant due to discrimination and condemnation from the law or their peers. And these patients are also less likely to reoffend compared to those who are in prison, which solves the root cause in the first place. And decriminalization ensures that teenagers have a chance to recover without the patient losing access to valuable necessities like housing, education, schooling, food, etc. It ensures that teenagers of all races and all wealth classes, they have equal access to treatment and better systemic, and that there are no systemic biases. There are cases that uh, there are only so many cases that the justice system can handle effectively. There are millions. Are you going to arrest all of them? And that doesn't solve the root cause. I mean, how does it help them? And research says that reallocating them to health services and education on drugs can yield better results for the society instead, where they can reintegrate healthily into the society, and the justice system can handle serious crimes instead, and maintain their efficiency.
Well, thank you, Sneha, for your insightful rebuttal and explaining how rehabilitation works. However, I must emphasize the need for punishment to correct wrongdoings. Our parents punish us to teach us from right to wrong. Similarly, the consequences of criminalization serve as a deterrent for drug use. Rehabilitation alone does not ensure that minors won't relapse into drug use with a 90% chance of reoccurrence. Jail time, on the contrary to being destructive, provide an opportunity for reflection and correction, serving its purpose since the ancient times. Jails serve as education centers and gave teens time to reflect on what they have done. I also mentioned that an honor student caught with marijuana, despite his status, possession of drug warrants punishment due to the cause and effect of in nature of actions. Thus, I urge the teens that they should be held liable for their actions and face legal consequences no matter what. Unless and until they understand the consequences and the bad effect on their future, they won't understand what will be the outcome of their results.
So Sneha said decriminalizing drugs save costs, but are economic costs worth more than teaching juvenile minors? Not doing drugs can be realistic if teenagers know the consequences of it. And rehabilitation, how can you be certain that rehabilitated teenagers are less likely to use? They have their entire life in front of them. Teens can go to jail for murder. Do we know how big of a deal that is? And do we know the statistics of how many teenagers, when under the influence of drugs, end up committing murder or manslaughter? They ruin their lives for that. For drugs, you can go to jail for what, 7 years? But once you've done drugs and you kill somebody, you can't take that back. You're tainted for life. You're in jail for you have a good life sentence. And the law is equal for all. Aruda said that if we throw children in jail, that it's not reasonable. Well, but how else do we teach kids about the consequences of drugs? Even presently, 8.7% of 8th graders have used illicit drugs in the last month. 21.3% of 8th graders have tried illicit drugs at least once. And by the time they're in 12th grade, 46.6% of teens have tried illicit drugs. 11.89 million 18 to 25-year-olds have used drugs in the last month. These are the rates we're looking at. Now, look at me and look at yourself and ask yourself how many of these end up in murder. We have one right in front of us, Vedant Agarwal. And yes, Drishna said that consumption and possession are different. But what do teens do with drugs? I don't think they hang it up in their closets and stare at them. The longer they possess drugs, the more tempted they will be to use it, or they're going to redistribute it, which is again a criminal offense.
I would like to add to point that Sneha mentioned that there are millions of teenagers who are in possession of drugs. Are we able to arrest them all? Let me question you again this. Are we able to educate all of them? If the education is so effective, then the research has been done by Child Crime Prevention and Safety Center, which has shown that 44% of minors arrested for vulgarity claim to commit their crimes in order to buy drugs. And the research by Vimukti survey report has also shown among the cannabis use of 8th grader students, and 19.5% of the 10th graders and 8.3% of 8th graders have used marijuana. So it's up to you that you want a drug-free youth or drug-addicted youth.
So final rebuttal by affirmative team.
I'd first like to mention Sanvi. Sanvi, you said that they can commit crimes, mental health issues. It's true that drug use can negatively impact teenagers, leading to addiction, mental health issues, and criminal activities. These concerns are important and must be addressed. Now, let me explain how decriminalization can be effective. Shifting focus from punishment to treatment can significantly improve health outcomes. For example, you see in Portugal, decriminalization has led to a significant decrease in drug-related deaths and improved public health by treating drug use as a health issue rather than a criminal one. This model can be applied to other nations too. Decriminalization allows for a better allocation of resources towards prevention and treatment programs, increasing access to health services and support. And I'd also like to say, I would like to say that not everyone is consuming drugs. Some are used to trafficking by drug cartels to earn. Some parents force their children to buy drugs. The next point I would want to mention is Gathik. Gathik jails are not like universities. They are harsh environments. Professors don't teach there. Dreaded criminals are there. Teens will graduate with criminal mindset, and not to mention lose on opportunities to be productive. Through education, we can teach. Like in our school, we have drug education. Even in my school, we have people who come 3-4 times and make us understand how drugs work, how they're not beneficial. In the end, I would like to say that the opposition has presented statistics suggesting that decriminalizing drug possession increases drug use among teenagers. While statistics are valuable, we must remember the saying, there are 3 kinds of lies: lies, damned lies, and statistics. So let's play along. Decriminalization, when implemented with strong regulatory measures, education, and strong support systems, can effectively reduce harm without sending the wrong message about drug use. The focus should be on creating a well-rounded approach that includes prevention, education, and treatment to address all the aspects of drug use and its impact on teenagers. Stringent laws should be passed to stop the sale or distribution of drugs to minors. Esteemed judge, as you consider the arguments before you, it's crucial to weigh the long-term benefits of a compassionate and evidence-based approach to drug policy. Countries like Singapore, China, Indonesia, Iran, and Saudi Arabia have some of the deadliest drug laws for possession of drugs in the world. But has that truly been successful? Despite these several penalties, drug-related issues persist in these countries. Thank you.
Now we request the judge to ask questions to both the teams if he has any.
Thank you very much. I have earlier thought that I'll ask you questions which I had pre-written, but I think it's only valid that I ask you questions from what all you have spoken about. My question is to Team Invincibles. I think Sneha specifically spoke about cost savings. If you can explain that a little bit and also explain all of us how that actually is relatable here and how does it resolve the issue.
The incarceration costs for minor drug possessions, these are saved, and these funds are used to reallocate to health and education services, but in the rehabilitation services. The funds from the justice system is shifted towards the healthcare system, and it lessens the burden on the justice system, where they have to arrest so many people just for minor drug cases when they can focus on actual serious issues.
Thank you for answering this, but would you think that the whole objective around stopping this goes for a toss if we are only looking at cost savings?
Yeah, definitely.
Your
It's not a business, and it's the government's responsibility to ensure the funds for the citizens' well-being. I mean, if you're not able to reallocate services for the education of your society, then you have to better manage the country as a government. And yeah, I think, did that answer the question? That's not the main objective. Cost savings are not the main objective. Even if it is a loss, even if it is a profit, the government has to keep going if it is going well, because it's not a business, and a government has to do anything for the welfare of the people. If it is working, yes. If it's working in a loss, go ahead. I think profit will be guaranteed in the end, and it will result in less drug use.
Okay. So my next question is to Team Maverick, and I think Saideep spoke a little bit about criminalization, how the strict legal consequences. Uh, so your thoughts on it more? I mean, if you can elaborate more on it, Saideep.
Sir, if you don't mind, can I speak on behalf of him?
Anybody can speak.
So, when we're talking about criminalization of drugs, we are actually trying to bring up the idea that by criminalizing drugs, we can give a clear idea of deterrence. We can let the teenagers know that there is a serious legal consequences attached to it. And once you get to know that there is something which is going to have a bad effect on their lives, it will eventually make them feel like, hey, I should not do this, I should not get involved in this. And this is the thing that our primary motive is. We want to ensure that the teenagers are having that mindset, are having that clear thought that getting involved with drugs is going to have these serious consequences, and henceforth should not get involved in it.
I'm just clarifying. Was your question more on the lines of why we think criminalization should be asserted?
No, not really. In fact, I thought when Saideep spoke about it, it was a little sort of half-baked and probably didn't came out that clearly. So now I understand that I think it was more on the preventive lines that probably you guys were referring to. Yeah. So, Manju, do I have more time or?
No, you have some time. You can announce the results now, or you can give us the results later and we will announce it in the group.
I have done a little bit of work and let me start. I think from the team Invincibles, if I speak about Ayurda, I think you spoke about the objectives. I think which I really liked. Whatever we do, I feel that the objective is very, very important, and they have to be kept in mind. It was a uh, very good debate, I would say. I'm not commenting on which side I am, but I'm only commenting on the quality of the debate. I think it was a very tough debate, and everyone spoke about health, which I think I liked the most, right, which is one very critical point in the whole debate. And I think almost everybody spoke about it. I felt the background, the objective, the repercussions, and to an extent, people also spoke about how this can be solved. I think, which is a bigger objective in the entire debate. I think all of you exhibited excellent listening skills, and it was evident from the fact that your questions were really good. I think the debate warmed up pretty well at the end. I thoroughly enjoyed, being a part of it in every sense. I don't know how much time I had, but let me just spend 5 minutes. I think Ayurda, if I speak about you, I think you spoke about the objectives well. Why people get into it was very well explained by you. Uh, the repercussions were very well explained. So well done, really, on that part. I think you gave a very nice example as well. The data and facts, if I speak about, were given by everybody from Team Invincibles very well. Sneha spoke about the root causes. So in that sense, if I speak about Team Invincibles, I think everybody had they brought in a different perspective to the entire debate together as a team, and I think it's stitched together very well. What happens if it is criminalized? Sneha also presented good facts. I had a question on cost savings, which I asked, but I still feel that, Sneha, when you spoke particularly, the objective somewhere got lost. But I think it was when you were asked a few questions, you answered those questions very well. And you also spoke about the health benefits. Trisana, I think, also spoke about health. I think you brought in a very new perspective to the whole debate, and I think it complemented the team in how you spoke very well. What I particularly liked about when you spoke was that you spoke about the preventive part and the rehabilitation. I think you were the only one who spoke about it, and from the content perspective, I felt that it was very good and it was very relevant to the debate. You understood the issues, I think, very well, and uh, I think for me, I think any of the issues around this debate, you never tried to slip it under the carpet. When you brought it out very clearly, I felt when you spoke. There were lots of data in what you spoke, and I could clearly see a link between how you spoke and how what Sneha mentioned. That gelling was there, and I think you also spoke about a little bit about the cost savings. I think really well done, team Invincibles. Coming to team Maverick, I was a little confused if Gatik was talking or Krishna was talking. It was Krishna, right? Was talking, and I think Krishna really liked and the overall debate, the points from you. Uh, I particularly felt that as individuals, Krishna, Saideep, Sanvi, they did very well. I think, and I have my points, and I'll spend a couple of minutes on it. I think, Krishna, you spoke about, uh, you used a very strong point to explain all the points that you have. Individually, like I said, you were very good, Krishna. You gave numerous examples, which was very good, and all those examples I thought were uh, very relevant. I think you particularly answered all the questions again very well, and you spoke on length about why to support your point really. Uh, what I also liked about what you spoke is the social health, and you particularly touched upon another very important point where you use the word stigma. So I think very relevant to the debate. Saideep, you explained with reasoning very, very well. Why people get into drugs and substance use, I think was another point that you touched, which I liked. You also used the word, temptation. And I think when we talk about teenagers, this is one word that all of us relate to. And I think you particularly used data also very well. Uh, I felt that probably that some of the data that you used, I personally felt wasn't convincing enough, but I compliment you for using the data. You explained with repercussions. That's another thing which I really liked. And at points, I felt that you little diverged from the topic, but I think overall well done. Sanvi, I think I liked you know you answering all the questions very well. When you started speaking, I thought that you probably did not explain the point well, but I think some of the good points that came out were you spoke about the legal consequences. Uh, you supported your debate with a very recent example. That Pune thing which happened recently, and I think that's very good. When you support your points with a recent example, it connects with everyone. Excellent content by you, and I think you explained your points extremely well. Particularly your content, I really like your content. Uh, so these are few comments from my side. I think I can maybe spend another 5 more minutes, but I think Mundu is staring at me. The time is over, and
Okay, you
if
can
you
give us.
have to announce the winner, I have really not added all the points, but I feel that Team Invincibles win it for the reasons I explained, and I don't think when I'm judging, I'm actually looking at the content. I'm looking at how all of you connect with each other and how you work together as a team, how your points complement each other, how you stand for each other when the questions are asked. So that is it.
Thank you so much, and thanks for joining us here. Results will be soon announced. See you all later.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Bye.